We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sarah's View of Life, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. I've just watched a podcast with Rick Gelty and Dr. Matty Gobble, and it was a very profound one. It was on trauma, and it was on expectations. It was on our own self-beliefs that are holding us back. It was on the sense of belonging, authenticity. And these are all things that I talk about in the various shows that we do here on Self-Discovery Wisdom. But I did want to address it today. There was a few things that it kind of triggered in me while I was listening to the show. The authenticity of being who you are. But also, in being who you are, don't expect everyone to see you the same way that you see yourself. Don't expect everyone else to be able to communicate with you the same way you can communicate. The thing is, if we can let go of the needing of approval, the needing of validation, the needing of value from someone else, we are letting go of all those societal expectations that really has caused the problem here in humanity today. We're so busy trying to live up to this expectation. We've been dictated the shoulds and the coulds and the woulds and the everything else, and we're confused. And really, life is quite simple. It's about our own self-discovery, our discovery of who we are, why we are here, what it is that we have to contribute, what is our meaningful purpose, and how to contribute in that meaningful purpose. Sorry, I had an interruption there. My daughter's recently had a new baby, and it was a C-section, and unfortunately they broke the femur, bringing him out, and it's caused a lot of problems, obviously. So a lot of medical appointments to come up, which means that there'll be a lot of anxiety. And that's something we need to talk about, isn't it? Anxiety. Anxiety is always something of the unknown, the what if. And instead of what if, with a different tone, is what if? And our anxiety comes into, we immediately go to what the worst case scenario would be. And that's not healthy for us. It's not healthy for our psyche. It's not healthy for our body, our mind, our health, our well-being at all. Not saying that we don't pay attention to scenarios or things that could actually happen, because that's, that's healthy. Okay, ABC could happen, but at the same time, don't get emotionally invested in it. These are the things that could happen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? I'm aware they can happen, but there's no point about spending an emotion before anything has happened. And when it does happen, it is about, well, okay, what can I do about it? How can I empower the situation rather than going down the rabbit hole of the emotional situation? Now, this is not, again, denying the emotions. You're going to have emotions of this. But I feel sometimes the emotions are better spent later. Once you've gone through what you've gone through, faced what you've had to face, dealt with what you've had to deal with. And then later on in those moments, those private moments, those moments where you could take a breath, that's the emotion comes welling up in you and it needs to be spent. It needs to be released. And you release it, but you feel more empowered because you were in control during whatever it is you had to face. They have to face this poor little boy's broken femur, so many appointments he has to go to. How long is he going to be in this horrible body brace that's holding his leg in place? Navigation of what he can sit in, how to feed him, all sorts of things have had to come into play. but they have to look at it rationally and logically and not emotionally, even though sometimes they would like to be emotional. We all have that in life. We all have that in some way or other, where we are having to face something. The thing that cripples us is the what if, the negative scenario, especially when it comes to people doing something to us. Maybe they've said something about us. Maybe they've done something physical to us, taken us for granted, or a nasty deed, or corruption. You name it. Was when somebody does something negative towards you. That is when we we can get really high anxiety about that, the injustice of it, or the pain that they've inflicted, the sorrow of trusting someone and they've broken that trust. And I know all those emotions. Believe me, I've been through a whole gamut of them. And again, spend the emotion, but please don't get stuck there, because whatever somebody did to you, we have to turn it around and go, okay, lesson learned. Did I make myself vulnerable to that situation? Or is this just somebody really doing something nasty that I didn't ask for? Now, some people will say that when you're in a good vibration and you're resonating on a high frequency, you're not going to get those people that are going to harm you. And that is true to a very large extent. But there are still those people that have a way of penetrating through that. The thing is, it doesn't affect you in the same way. Stuff's still going to be happening to you. That's life. There's still obstacles in our way, challenges in our way. That is life. And very often it's a lesson for us to learn, or a skill that we need to find, an epiphany of understanding that we need to have during those times. Look to what we can gain from it rather than who did us wrong. Now, of course, we're going to put in our memory bank that please trigger me when somebody like that, of that vibe, is going to do something to me, because then those are the warning signs. You are aware. You are aware that something isn't right. You are in tuned to that frequency that is off, that the vibe is not resonating, and you pay more attention. Wherefore, you can make better decisions on how to avoid it happening in the first place. Or if something does happen from out of the blue, you're more equipped to deal with it because you've learned those skills. You've dealt with stuff before. You know how to take the deep breath and do what you need to do. The thing is, we become too attached to things, too attached to someone else's approval, too attached to needing to be validated in the eyes of others. The only person that truly needs to validate you is your own mirror. Are you looking at yourself and saying, I am truly being authentic with self? I am truly living my truth. I am truly living my purpose. Although X, Y, and Z has happened to me, and I may carry the scars, I may even still carry some pain, I'm not going to let it take away from me who I am, what I'm here to do, what my meaningful purpose is. I believe we are all here to step into that purpose. We are all here to understand what that purpose is. We are all a beautiful instrument, learning how to play, then finding that orchestra to be a part of, where you can collectively, in your own strengths, create a harmonious symphony that resonates out to other people. When we decide to allow ourselves to immerse ourselves into our instrument and become one with it. And I'm not talking literally a musical thing. I use it as an analogy. The instrument is the gift that you were given to share here on this journey of life. The instrument is what you're good at, what helps other people, what allows other people to grow, what seeds the opportunities and the possibilities for people. That is the kind of purpose I'm talking about. The one where you can say at the end of the day, I may not know the results, but I gave it all my energy and I know somebody out there benefited from it. Or you are literally working with people where you can see the benefit. In my line of work as a podcaster and interviewing people from all over the world, I don't always get feedback from what has happened, or it may happen months, weeks, years down the road where somebody will make a comment of what that particular show's topic did for them. As long as it's helping people, I don't care how it comes about. It's the helping of people that is important. It isn't for me to get the glory. It isn't for me to shine bright or to be up on that pedestal. People up on that pedestal are very wobbly folks. And just one stone can kick them off it, and then everybody's at them because they've fallen off the pedestal. That is the cruelty of human nature. We put people up on pedestals, and then the moment they become human, no longer an idol, we tear them down so goddamn fast. And that is such a negative aspect of humanization, which we need to really take a look at and stop, because the cruelty we see in the world is what we are imposing upon each other. The sadness that we have in the world, and believe me, this is something I carry all the time. I live with sadness. Sadness that I can't do more. Sadness that I can't change the frequency that the world is in. Sadness, there's still so much hatred and pain and anger and angst out there. Sadness that people will go to hurting each other instead of helping each other. I feel that pain, and it's something I carry around with me all the time. I wish I knew how to stop it, but it's also part of my driving force in order to make something different happen. We are the people that are causing the problem in the world, but we're also the people that can find the solution. And we can find that solution when we find ourselves, when we find out who we are, why we are, and what we're here to do. When we can be at one with self, when we can be at peace with self. Now, being at peace doesn't mean kumbaya. It doesn't mean roses and butterflies. At peace with oneself is knowing who you are in all your turbulence. I have turbulence, folks. I live with it all the time. But I choose to extract from it the meaning, the purpose, the harmony, the love from it, because that is so very important to me. Excuse me. We talk a lot about trauma today, and there are some people who have truly had traumatic experiences. But maybe what we're looking at is we've put trauma to the word of everything. Maybe you've just had an experience that was unpleasant, an experience that was unnecessary, experience that was painful. But if you're willing to go through the process, you can overcome it. A trauma is something that stays so deep-rooted in your psyche, in your body, that it's there all the time. It's always a trigger. It's always something that is causing a shuddering response from you, and is much harder to get over. I've interviewed people who have had horrendous things happen to them. Horrendous. No human being should ever have gone through what they went through. And yet, who they are today and what they're doing today, they never would have done had they not gone through what they went through. No, that doesn't mean we've all got to go through horrendous things to be that meaningful purpose. But they made a choice not to become the victim of what happened to them, but instead to triumph and become not only the survivor, but the thriver because of it. That is a choice that we can make. There is always something or someone that's going to hurt us in some way. That's life, but some people are crueler than others and they hurt more deeply. I carry hurt around. And I realize what it is. I've just written my memoir. I'm going through the when I have time, going through the the editing stage of it. And I realize what is constantly repetitive in it, because when I wrote it, I just wrote it. I didn't kind of think I'd download it. And I see a couple of things that are very much the thread through it. One of them is sadness, the sadness that I carry all the time, the shattering cruelty towards each other, the way people talk in anger and angst and division and hate and loathing. It just, it's soul shattering. And the other is I was constantly seeking my value. I had let my whole lifetime, and probably many other lifetimes, I had allowed other people to place the value upon me that I should have placed upon myself. I don't need other people's approval. I don't need other people to value me. If they do, and they value my contribution, hallelujah. But I cannot live waiting for that approval to validate who I am as a person. I am enough as Sarah in all her flawsomeness. I have many flaws, many things I can't do. I don't focus on the can't do's. I focus on what I can do. And I do what I can do because that's what I'm meant to do. And I don't need anyone else to validate me. If they get me, they get what I'm saying, they get what my contribution is, and they value the contribution, that's different. But me as a person, Sarah, and all her flawsomeness, and all the things that she can and can't do, I have learned to be enough in my life. I'm not meant to be out there on the stage, rah-rah-rahing everybody. I'm not meant to be doing TV spots or this or that. I have been 11 years podcasting, interviewing some incredible people from around the world. I am here. I'm more intimate. I'm speaking directly into your ear. And when we interview, you can watch the videos or you can listen. We are speaking directly to you. I have a few people on my list that I would love to interview. There are people that have grown big with what they do. And no, I haven't read all their books. Sometimes a book will come to me and I'll read it and it's what I meant to read at the time. Other times when I interview people, I don't want to read. I don't want to really know too much about them because I'm in discovery of who they are at the same time that you are listening. I think if we could look at each other and be a little wondrous, what's that person all about? I'd like to know. I'd like to inquire, open up their mind, open up their spirit, open up their heart and soul, and get to know them. How they've made you feel or what they've left you with, whether you're getting up and dancing or whether you're just sitting back, absorbing. We don't know how people are going to receive things. And each person is going to receive that knowledge where and how they need to receive it. That's just the way it is. We can't control that. We shouldn't control that. That is not something we have the right to do. People will receive the information at where they're at. All I ask is that when you receive that information, don't ignore it. I say listen, learn, and apply. How does it apply to your life right now? Is there something that was said that's applicable to where you're at this moment? How can you apply it in a way that's going to pivot you into another direction that's going to serve you better? I think if we could stop looking for the approval. I know when I stopped looking for approval. And hell, yes, of course. If somebody compliments me or validates me, that's wonderful. Yes, wonderful. Thank you very much. But it's not the driving force. I'm not this little kid jumping up and down trying to get mummy and daddy's attention. I'm not Sarah, the young person, trying to impress somebody so they will like me or so they will love me. I don't need to be that person anymore, because the most important thing is, do I love myself? Do I love who I am and what I represent? Can I stand tall in my own life? Can I really speak to what I feel, to what I see, to what I'm taught, what I'm shown? That knowingness. When I open up the channels and just let that knowingness flood through me, and my heart gets excited, my spirit gets into action, and my mind knows what it needs to know when it needs to know it. I love that. That channeling of that wisdom, letting me be that vessel for whatever is needed to be said. Do not look at any of your flaws as something that you need to persecute yourself about, punish yourself. If it's a flaw where it is self-detriment to yourself or anyone else, it's a flaw that needs to be seen to. You really do need to address it. You really need to heal it, or you need to understand where it really comes from so that you can really get to the root and the cause of it and start healing it. If it's a flaw that's just a quirk, just a little of who you are, and it's not harming you or anyone else, so be it. That's who you are. The big thing is not letting somebody else's approval validate who we are. Our approval of who we are, honest in truth and authenticity, is where we need to be, because that is who you really are. When we don't need things to validate who we are, the Armani suit, the big car, the flashy house, the important gig on this stage or that stage, having to live up to a hype, having to live up to somebody's expectation or judgment, that can be so tiring. And you can lose yourself in that because you're so busy unwittingly and unknowingly bending to the will of what a person wants from you that you forget who you really are, and you lose yourself along the way. Whether you start out small and you become big, always, always walk with yourself. Always come home to yourself. Always let your soul, heart, and spirit be as one. Don't lose them, for to lose them is to lose yourself. Just some perspectives I wanted to share this week. Trauma, when people have really been through imprisonment, war, victimization, that has terrified them. That trauma will be deep-rooted, and helping someone know how to release that trauma and recognize when it comes back up again and what to do about it is essential. But I think we also need to look at life experiences, good or bad, as not always being the trauma, just being a misdirection, a wrong step, something nasty or distasteful happening to us, something that really did hurt us. Yes, it caused us pain, but we can choose the suffering. The struggle to come back from something, that's part of that life lesson. Do we have to suffer? That's our choice. I don't want to suffer anymore. I struggled with things, definitely. Who you hear today speaking to you is Sarah, authentically. Am I that same person around my own family? No. They don't see this Sarah. They don't hear this Sarah. They don't know this Sarah. I am mother, and the expectation of how I should be as a mother is there. So now I just be who I am. When I'm with them, I am what they need me to be. I'm still Sarah, but they don't get the full volume of Sarah. For me to speak like this to them would not necessarily be received well. They're on their own journey, and their journey of, as most kids are, We know more than you do. The one thing that Rick and God Almighty brought up is we look at people as elderly instead of our elders. In so many cultures, the elders are revered for the knowledge they have that's been acquired through that lifetime, that wisdom that's been acquired through a lifetime of experiences. There is nothing to compare to that. I don't care how many degrees you have. Life experiences is a wisdom and a degree all of its own. And you can have all the book knowledge you like, but that experience cannot be taken away from someone. And instead of looking at somebody as elderly, let's look at them as an elder with that wisdom. Let's bridge that gap between the youth and the elders. Let the elders share their wisdom and their knowledge, and let the youth respect that. Hear it, bank it in their memory banks, because they're never going to know when they're going to need it. We've helped our children to believe they know it all, or they can just go to Google or Alexa or Siri or whoever else is out there, AI, to tell them what they need to know, and that we're just old and we know nothing. This is very, very sad, because they're missing out on the real importance of what life is all about. The experience of coming as a whole person, mind, body, heart, soul, and spirit, having an experience on this planet that's going to elevate us up to a higher level, a higher dimension, a higher frequency vibration, and become the people that we were meant to become. Elevated, wise, kind, caring, loving. And if we're not willing to learn along the way, or we still want to carry the victimization, or feel sorry for me, or choose to feed the drama, then we are going to always be stuck in that pain. And we will never grow. And we will never know what it's really like to be an elder, where we can be at peace with ourselves. Now, I've got a lot of things that I want to change here in my life. I'm at a crossroads with unable to move forward. So I'm stuck at this crossroads at the present moment, doing what I'm doing, not knowing which direction I'm going to go in. I'm still going to be doing this, but it's where I'm going to do it. How am I going to do it where I do it? And the younger me would have been very, very impatient and needed to know now. The elder me knows that when the time is right, the path will be shown. And that I'm here at this intersection at the present moment, waiting for the green light to show me where to go. And I've learned that patience. And yes, sometimes I can look at it and become a little anxious. How come it hasn't happened already? Where is this green light? And then the other thoughts come to me. It's not time. It's not time. The people you're meant to meet, the where you're meant to go, the next phase of your life is also waiting on other people to be synchronized with you in order for you to move forward. And that's what that's about, that synchronicity of everything coming together at the right time. I'm at that intersection waiting for the green light. And when the green light comes, it's to lead me down the right road, to meet the right people at the right time, to do the next right thing. So take time to think, to feel, to acknowledge. Take time to have that deep breath. Take time to understand how you're feeling. Is this an outside feeling that's intruded the inside? Or is the inside feeling so beautiful and secure that you're too scared to go on the outside in case it should shatter? If the inside is really pure and really true and really authentic, you can venture out into that world. Be careful, yes. Don't go around that negativity. Yes, it will shatter you. Stay away from it best you can. But get out there and enjoy all the beautiful people, all the beautiful things, all the wonderful things that are out there, because that will only ignite and enlighten the inside. Don't be afraid to experience life, but know with every experience, the wisdom that comes, who you become, why you become, and how you become that wonderful person is through the willingness to explore life, to have that self-discovery, to know who you are, why you are, and what you're here to do, and to be at peace with one's inner self. Until next time, folks, have a wonderful week. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.